Good evening. I'm Carlos Guevara, and today I'm going to talk about effective instruction um, for my semester so far. So, instruction in my content. So, a good way to have effective instruction is to making sure that students can interpret the primary and secondary sources that we are using in class. So, this can be either a video or they can be a picture, but just getting them to understand what the meaning behind either what an author and artist is talking about or writing will help them understand better what they are learning. Making sure that the content is exciting for them as well. Nobody wants to sit in a 60-minute class just learning words and facts and memorizing anything that occurred 100 years before they were born. It's about making it relatable to them and making sure that they are engaged within content, as well as making sure the lecture is not heavy or the not using heavy lecture heavy lessons. Especially since I am in a block schedule right now, I have to find ways to get them engaged with the content for almost 2 hours. Another thing also that helped me a lot in my instruction of content is having my students connect with historical events with modern times. So a lot of times my warm-ups, I'll ask students why a certain event was significant and why it connects to today or why it matters. Instructional sequencing. So for me, this is for especially for history, social science. If we are in a history class, we want to try to get from the start of a unit with a understanding of why something or why we're learning this certain topic. So, for example, if we're learning about the American Revolution, we gotta make sure that they have a grasp of what happened prior to the actual American Revolution. They have to understand prior to Lexington Concord. They have to understand why something occurred, and making sure that uh, that the formal assessments that we're giving them throughout the day is also connected with the lesson of the day or making sure that has the relevancy to the overall unit. And backwards design is also a great way to making sure that your instructional sequencing is in effect. You want to make sure that by the end of the unit you have a clear understanding. You want to start with what you want to come out with at the end, so that way you have a better understanding of what you need to do in order for them to come out to that conclusion. So if you want them to be able to write a 5 paragraph essay into why the Treaty of Versailles um, eventually came into shams and why it did not work, well, you have to make sure that they understand how to be able to write a 5 paragraph essay. So you give them maybe a practice um, a practice essay, or you make sure that they understand what the Treaty of Versailles actually did, what occurred after the fact. So you're not just going to end on the Treaty of Versailles, you're going to look at the consequences of the Treaty of Versailles. So this can be probably a World War II unit assessment. So you want to be able to make sure that whatever you give them at the end of a unit, you are talking about it prior to the conclusion of it. So academic language, just be able to challenge my students to become better writers. They need to have great appropriate, work, and not just also in their writing, but in the way they talk, and just to be able to have them converse with each other in class is something that will needs to be looked into as a teacher. Being able to encourage students to debate, to challenge one another, that will be key as well in academic language. Differentiated instruction and scaffolding. Um, One of the biggest areas that can help students become deeply immersed with the lesson or with the unit is by making sure that students can comprehend what they're learning. So scaffolding is going to be helpful. Finding the right type of reading level for the students as a whole would help out as well. Making sure those students who need that extra little push get the little extra push. So for this looks in my class, uh, even though they're graded as a fourth grade grading level, I actually give them different levels of reading throughout it. So, for example, this past unit we did World War II, so I gave them a reading on Hitler at a sixth grade reading level, and depending on how they did, I bumped it up for the next reading to up to a eighth grade level reading. Just giving the students the ability to read at a higher grade level is going to be helpful. And I'm working also on differentiating readings, though, in case the accelerated learners want to get a little more out of it, they can do that as well. And also by providing student examples of what their peers are doing gives them a little morale boost as well into how they can perform as well. And finally, for the EdTPA content focus, or center focus in my content area, for this, it's the focus for history social science is to be able to interpret historical content and to be able to connect with modern times, being able to having effective instruction in the classroom enables students to interpret and to challenge what they are reading and to come up with their own conclusions that will help them make better understanding of history, social science. And that is it. Thank you.